The ghost who solved her own murder. The TERESITA BASA case.
Imagine getting arrested because of testimony from a ghost. Not fingerprints, not CCTV footage, not eyewitnesses. A ghost. And somehow, the information turned out to be correct. This is one of the strangest murder cases ever connected to the paranormal. A case so bizarre that even detectives admitted the details were impossible to ignore. Because here's the creepy part. The victim had no witnesses, no surviving evidence, no clear suspect. The case was basically dead. Until months later, a woman who barely knew the victim suddenly began speaking in another voice during her sleep. A voice claiming to be the murdered woman herself. And according to that voice, she knew exactly who killed her. Now, normally, this is the kind of story people would dismiss immediately. Because if somebody walked into a police station and said, "Hey, a ghost solved the murder," most officers would probably tell them to go home. But in this case, the information led detectives directly to the killer. And that's what makes this story disturbing. Not because it proves ghosts exist, but because nobody has ever fully explained how the information was known in the first place. The victim was a woman named Teresita Basa. She was born in Dumaguete, Philippines, in 1929. And by all accounts, she lived a very respectable, disciplined life. Teresita came from a wealthy family, the kind where education wasn't optional. It was expected. As an only child, she grew up surrounded by opportunity. Classical piano lessons, music training, dance classes, the kind of upbringing associated with prestige and refinement. But what's interesting is that despite coming from privilege, Teresita didn't become arrogant or detached. She chose healthcare. After studying music in America, she returned to the Philippines and studied nursing at St. Paul College before eventually moving back to the United States to work as a respiratory therapist at St. Edward Hospital in Chicago. And honestly, I think that says a lot about someone's character. Because there are people born into comfort who spend their lives chasing status. Teresita could have done that. Instead, she chose a profession built around helping sick people breathe. That's not glamorous work. That's compassionate work. She lived alone in a nice apartment at 2740 North Sheridan Road in Chicago. She taught piano lessons on the side, worked long hospital shifts, kept mostly to herself. People described her as polite, intelligent, and kind. No enemies, no scandals, and no dangerous lifestyle, which made what happened next feel even more horrifying. The night of the murder, February 21st, 1977, around 8:40 p.m. Neighbors suddenly smelled smoke coming from Teresita's apartment. Firefighters arrived quickly and forced the door open. At first, the apartment looked empty. Burned furniture, smoke damage, dark walls. Then someone noticed something strange in the living room. A mattress lying on the floor covered with clothing, which already felt off. Because why would a mattress be in the middle of the living room? Firefighters moved the mattress, and underneath it was Teresita, dead, burned, completely naked, with a knife lodged in her chest. Immediately, investigators realized this wasn't an accidental fire. This was murder, and a brutal one. Detective Joseph Stacula arrived on scene and began investigating. At first, the theory seemed obvious. Robbery or sexual assault. The victim had no clothes on. The apartment had been set on fire. The killer probably wanted to destroy evidence, but then the autopsy complicated everything. There were no signs of sexual assault, meaning the killer removed her clothing intentionally, possibly to mislead investigators. And then detectives noticed something else important. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken locks, no damaged door, which meant Teresita willingly allowed the killer inside. That detail narrowed the possibilities dramatically, because whoever murdered her was somebody she trusted enough to open the door for. The fire destroyed most of the evidence. There were almost no usable clues. But investigators did recover one strange item, a partially burned note. On it, written in Teresita's handwriting, were the words, "Get theatre tickets for AS." That was it. just AS. Detectives had no idea who that referred to. A friend, co-worker, lover, random initials. Without context, it meant nothing. And slowly the case began dying. No witnesses and no fingerprints and no suspect. Teresita's body was eventually returned to the Philippines for burial. Months passed. Nothing happened. Then everything changed because of a phone call. 5 months later, Detective Joseph received a call from a doctor named Jose Chua. Dr. Chua worked at the same hospital as Teresita. His wife, Remy Chua, also worked there as a respiratory therapist. At first, the conversation felt strange. Dr. Chua nervously asked, "Do you believe in supernatural things?" Now imagine being a detective hearing that. You're trying to solve a murder case, and suddenly somebody wants to talk about ghosts. But Joseph had no leads left, so he agreed to meet them. When he arrived, Dr. Chua looked uncomfortable, like someone about to say something they knew sounded insane. And then he explained. His wife believed she was being contacted by Teresita BASA. Now, here's what makes this even stranger. Remy barely knew Teresita. They worked the same position at the hospital but on different shifts. They weren't close friends, just co-workers. After Teresita died, Remy temporarily had to cover extra shifts. She became exhausted from overwork. One night during a break, Remy fell asleep in the hospital lounge. Then she experienced something terrifying. She woke up unable to move. Classic sleep paralysis symptoms. But standing beside her was a woman. Naked, with a knife in her chest. Remy immediately recognized her, Teresita. The figure then drifted toward the doorway and vanished. Now, from a psychological perspective, sleep paralysis can absolutely create horrifying hallucinations. That part actually has scientific explanations. But this story becomes harder to explain later, because the experiences didn't stop. A few nights later, Dr. Chua woke up and noticed Remy behaving strangely in bed. She was half asleep, repeatedly making stabbing motions toward her chest while whispering, "Necklace, necklace, necklace." Over and over, Dr. Chua tried waking her. Nothing worked. Eventually, he splashed water onto her face. Remy woke up confused and angry. She remembered nothing except dreaming about Teresita repeating one word, "Kalung," necklace. At the time, neither of them understood what it meant. But days later, things escalated again. One night, Remy suddenly sat upright, hysterically screaming, "Alan, Alan, Alan!" Dr. Chua tried calming her down. Then Remy reportedly looked directly at him and said, "I am Teresita BASA." Imagine hearing your spouse say that in the middle of the night. Not joking, not sleep-talking, casually, speaking as somebody else. Dr. Chua asked what she wanted, and according to him, the voice explained, a man entered her apartment, killed her, burned her body, and stole her jewelry. Then suddenly Remy lost consciousness. When she woke up, she remembered nothing. Now, this is where people split into two groups. One side believes supernatural possession happened. The other believes Remy subconsciously absorbed information somehow and expressed it psychologically. But either way, the details became increasingly specific, because eventually the spirit gave a name. Alan Showers. When Detective Joseph heard the name, something clicked immediately. The burned note. Get theatre tickets for AS. AS Alan Showers. Suddenly the random initials didn't feel random anymore. Now, obviously, ghost testimony cannot be used in court. Imagine presenting that to a judge. So your evidence came from a possessed co-worker? No chance. So detectives needed real evidence. They brought Alan in for questioning. Alan calmly denied everything. He admitted knowing Teresita through the hospital but denied involvement in the murder. At this point, the case still could have ended there. But then detectives interviewed Alan's girlfriend. And that's where everything collapsed. Alan's girlfriend casually revealed that Alan recently gifted her expensive jewelry, including a necklace and ring. Detectives confiscated the items. Now remember, Remy repeatedly mentioned a necklace during her strange episodes. Investigators contacted Teresita's mother in the Philippines, and this is the detail that completely shocked them. Her mother immediately identified the necklace. It was a rare gift she had personally purchased for Teresita in Paris. At that moment, Alan's story fell apart. Because how does a hospital maintenance worker suddenly obtain rare luxury jewelry belonging to a murdered woman? When confronted again, Alan confessed. Alan admitted he went to Teresita's apartment to repair her television, which explained why she willingly let him inside. While there, he noticed her jewelry. And greed took over. According to his confession, he attacked her impulsively. He strangled her, then stabbed her with a kitchen knife. Afterward, he removed her clothes to stage the scene misleadingly. Then he searched the apartment for valuables. But according to him, he found only around $30 cash. So he stole her jewelry instead. Finally, he set the apartment on fire to destroy evidence. Case solved, but not because of fingerprints, not because of witnesses. Because somehow, information nobody should have known reached investigators through dreams, possession, or something else entirely. And that's why this case still fascinates people today. Now here's the part people rarely talk about. There are actually several theories explaining this case without requiring ghosts. One theory says Remy may have unconsciously overheard conversations at the hospital. Tiny details, rumors, names, and under stress and exhaustion, her brain reconstructed the information through dreams and dissociative episodes. Which is possible. The human brain absorbs far more information subconsciously than we realize. Another theory is that Alan himself may have talked too much around co-workers after the crime. Criminals sometimes leak details accidentally because guilt creates psychological pressure. But still, there are details difficult to dismiss entirely, especially because Remy and Teresita were not close. And the necklace detail remains extremely strange. Also, think about Detective Joseph's position. He didn't arrest Alan because he believed in ghosts. He investigated because the information unexpectedly aligned with physical evidence. That's a huge difference. I think what makes this case unforgettable isn't necessarily the paranormal aspect. It's the idea that truth has a strange way of resurfacing, even when someone tries to bury it. Alan thought fire would erase everything, the evidence, the victim, the crime itself. But somehow the case kept pulling investigators back toward him, whether through coincidence, psychology, guilt, or something far stranger. And maybe that's why stories like this survive for decades. Because deep down, people want to believe injustice doesn't disappear quietly. That somehow, somewhere, the truth fights its way back, even from beyond the grave.